part of the world. You do have to get used to being bitten by every form of insect under the sun. Oh, wait, you don't even see the sun in the rainforest. But it is a beautiful, beautiful place. A very challenging place to work, but extremely interesting. An amazing diversity of species, specifically insects. So we've got this exquisite afternoon light, and now let's try find something with a heartbeat to put on it. I think if I ask Chandra to film another butterfly, I might get a whack on the back of the head. So let's find him a wasp to film. Just joking, Chandra. Okay, let's go find some stuff. Mary in Michigan seems to think Chandra is a great tracker and leopard spotter. He's getting there. We've still got a bit more training to do, but definitely as a spotter. But really incredible that our whole staff got to spend some time with Renius and Klongo recently, and I know everyone in our team thoroughly enjoyed having a closer look at the intricacies of tracking. Well, Angie in Wisconsin seems to think that the cameramen find the animals far more than the presenters. And there's a big thumbs up from Chandra. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, John?
I thought they were calling me.
Yeah, check the film on.
Sorry about that, just listening to everyone's checking. So, there's a few reasons. The cameramen sit quite a bit higher than us, which is a really nice advantage, and obviously it's beneficial for all of us that they can spot the animals. But I would like to wager money on that I'll spot more animals than the cam ops. Would you like to take a wager on this, Chandra?
Let's do so.
So we're going to have a bet who can spot the most animals between the cameraman and the presenter. Hello, everyone. Hello, Michael.
Hey.
How's everyone doing?
Good, and you?
Not too bad. Don't get lost now.
I'll try not to. I've got a quick one.
Yes. Cheers, guys. So, Mike, who's Candace's husband from Zuma, is out on game drive with a few friends, and some of the friends are also friends of mine who I used to work with, and one I actually went to school with from when we were 6 years old. No, 5 years old, so nice to see them out and about. But so, bets on, Chandra. Here we go. So let's just lay some ground laws here. Now, are we including impala, everything? Are we? Okay.
No.
Why don't you guys lay the ground laws for us? What are the rules for the competition between cam ops and the guiding team when it comes to spotting animals? So I just heard a whole bunch of oxpeckers take off, and quite often there's an animal around when that happens. Could be buffalo. We did have quite a few. There's dust. Something's going on there. I can just see dust coming out of the bush there. Now, is it a buffalo? Yes, it's a buffalo who was rolling. There we go. I was hoping it was something else, but there's some very old buffalo bulls through that gap there, and I think they were just having a rub, and it disturbed the oxpeckers. Here we go. I think it's the same gentleman we saw towards the end of the sunrise safari. They were in this area. Here we go. So why don't you guys set the rules? Let's make it relatively simple. Do we spot all animals or only members of the sort of more interesting and big, so sort of buffalo, lion, elephant, hippo, or do we include impala, steenbok, everything? And I think just to keep it much easier, we'll stick to mammals, so no birds, no reptiles, but no butterflies. No butterflies. So no insects, no reptiles, no birds. We'll stick to the mammals, and let's put a time on it. Okay, well, it is 5 p.m. now, or 2 minutes past 5. So we're not going to let it dominate everything, so we'll just do it for the next half an hour. Okay, let's go. Only mammals, half an hour. Dun, 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 dun. Now Jean-Andre is standing up to get a higher view than even when he's sitting down. But there's ways to deal with this. I just hit the brakes very hard, and he might join me in the front. Okay, so we are going to give a hand in searching for that female leopard, so I will be looking for tracks as well.
Wildebeest.
Oh, there we go. Jean-Andre is standing up high, and he has spotted a wildebeest. I can't... Okay, is this how we're going to play now? There we go. Well spotted, Jean-Andre of WildEarth. Hello, mister. So 1 point to Jean-Andre. Right, we're still looking at the wildebeest, Jean-Andre. So it looks like it's that male. Let me just go back a bit. So it's going to be quite interesting because the rutting season for wildebeest is going to be starting quite soon. So this male's, although he's in a little bit of a thicket there at the moment, he's got quite a nice territory because he's got a little pan below us, a nice open short grass area that'll attract the ladies. And his wildebeest are very, very specific fielders. Impala. Behind the wildebeest.
No.
Yes?
No.
There's an impala behind the wildebeest.
No.
Okay, so as I was saying, he's got himself a really nice little territory here. So the females are going to be brought in specifically as it gets a bit drier. And he'll defend this little territory against all the other wildebeest bulls. So hopefully we will be starting to see some of those big herds. And it's really fascinating behavior during that rutting, watching those males panic around and try keep those ladies inside their territory. But the ladies will move through multiple male territories, so mating with multiple males sometimes, and that helps with genetic diversity. So that's very interesting, and it's going to be fun to watch when the rut starts. So there's going to be 2 other species. Of course, we know all about the impala rat, but there's another species that ruts that people don't know about too much. I have chatted about it a bit this last couple of weeks, and that's warthog. So we will be keeping an eye out for all that interesting mating behavior over the next little while. So we're going to go head off slightly more to the south. While we do that, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
Look at how beautiful this grass is. Now, it's funny, this is the first time I've actually had a chance to get to know the different grass species of the Sabi Sands area that I started working here last year, July, and it was in midwinter, so there was no grass. Then we had the drought, so there was no grass. So this is the first time I'm seeing the inflorescences, so the reproductive parts of the grass, as clearly. Now, I'm fairly certain this is a type of signal grass. I used to know all of the grasses where I used to work, but this is a new one for me. I have to go and double check exactly what it is. It's got the most beautiful red color to it. I do have my grass book somewhere, so I will look that up. It looks as though it's quite a hardy species. Maybe one of the pioneer grass species. And the reason I say that is just because it's on quite an eroded part of Red Dam's dam wall. Now, just have a look at how full Red Dam is. This is probably the most water I've ever seen here. Again, when I arrived, it was basically empty. I had a sighting with Karula and Tingana on the other side of this dam wall mating. And we were able to drive right through to the other side. I don't know if many of you must remember that afternoon. It was an extraordinary afternoon where Tingana and Karula had been mating but feeding off a dead buffalo that was in the drainage line at the same time. It was just a little bit in towards this drainage line. And we went back to go and find Tingana and Karula that afternoon, Viam and myself. We found Tingana just here. And then we drove a little bit further up towards where the buffalo carcass was, thinking Karula was going to be there. And there was the Salala Pride sitting, having obviously decided to start scavenging off that buffalo themselves. Then Karula appeared on the scene, and we had them mating on the dam wall right in front of us, with the other vehicle with guests on it looking straight up at them. It must have been the most incredible eye-level view for those guests. And then Tingana and Karula promptly walking back towards the buffalo carcass without realizing the Salala Pride was there. And at that moment, there was absolute chaos. There was growling. The young Salala males chased Karula and Tingana in this direction. Karula, I think, went up. Which tree did she go up? I think she went up that funny little knobthorn over there. Yes, it was there. It was on that corner, because we rolled forward and went underneath her while she was looking towards the Salala Pride. So we had 2 mating leopards and an entire lion pride in one afternoon. It was most incredible, one of the most incredible sightings that we've had here at Red Dam. It must have been. A good afternoon to Inshan, who is watching us on YouTube for the very first time. And it's interesting that we've had this conversation this morning as well as this afternoon. But Inshan would like to know, do we ever see any jaguars? Well, Inshan, no, we don't. But we do see a very close relative of theirs, the leopard. It's basically the called the Greater Kruger National Park area. At the moment specifically, we have our little area on Arathusa and Juma in the Sabi Sand, portion of 4 million hectares worth of unfenced wilderness area. Our jaguars, we did speak about this morning, are more based towards South and Central America, with El Jefe, the jaguar, being seen in Arizona just recently. And I even touched on the subject this morning, saying that I wouldn't be surprised if there are more jaguars wandering around the southern U.S. without any. And with people not realizing for years and years, there was a leopard that denned in the drainage pipe of a big sports stadium, the Ellis Park Sports Stadium in Johannesburg, a few years ago. There's also a leopard that made her way into an abandoned block of apartments in Pretoria. So 2 of our biggest cities, or one of the biggest cities are in South Africa, and we had leopards wandering about there. And just like them, I think that jaguars have quite a similar ability to remain stealthy and undetected. Of course, the difference with jaguars is that a bit bigger and a bit stockier than the leopards that we see here. Whereas out here in the African bush, our apex predator, not counting man, of course, but we still see both lions. Stick with us. You will at some point see both leopards and lions on our show. Don't forget, we do this twice a day, every day. It will always be usually 2 of us, unless we've encountered a major problem, doing drives for you and finding as many wonderful animals as we possibly can. And the awesome thing about it is that it is alive. So what that means is anything that's happening on your screens is happening in real life, in real time, in South Africa, however many miles away. I'm not sure where you're from, but either way, the current events that are happening on your screen are, but in theory, fortunately, that's been made somewhat tricky by multiple passenger vehicles on a main that use it. It's also used by delivery trucks and vehicles. And I just wanted to check this block really, really carefully, or this road really carefully, to see that he hasn't decided to pop out somewhere here. No updates on the Game Drive channel, by the way, from Arathula. And it seems as though most people are quite far away from where we are. So for now, we are on our own on our leopard tracking mission. And of course, out here, always the chance that we could encounter Shadow. Shadow being Karula's daughter. I spoke about Karula before. She's known as the Queen of Juma. Her daughter Shadow, this is right in the center of her territory, and she also happens to have cubs. That means we're not going to go looking for her in drainage lines and such places, but there's always the chance that we might bump into her. Just wondering if these impala might perhaps know where she is. The most common antelope species out here. And as such, an antelope species that is constantly on alert, since it's on pretty much every predator's menu, except perhaps dwarf mongoose. I can't imagine a dwarf mongoose attempting to tackle a full-grown impala. Sorry, I've been distracted by that bizarre image now in my head. This morning I stopped at a herd of impala. It's one of the funniest things that has ever happened to me, or the strangest things that's ever happened to me on drive. Impala allow a bird called an oxpecker to sit on their backs and to feed off the ticks and the parasites that gather there. And this morning, the impala got a fright when we stopped, and they ran off and they disturbed the oxpeckers that were sitting on their backs. And the oxpecker came probably within 5 inches of flying straight into my head. I've never had that happen before. It was absolutely hilarious. Unfortunately, Dave was busy looking at the impala on the left. He had no idea that that was going to happen. I certainly didn't. So we didn't manage to get it live on camera. But that is the closest I've come to being injured essentially by a herd of impala, albeit through the motions of an oxpecker. I had a really, really close-up view of his tail feathers as he banked upwards. I'm not sure, though, who got more of a fright, whether it was me or the oxpecker. What are you two doing? They were up to something as I drove past, these Cape turtle doves. I don't know what it was. They look like they might have been involved in a little bit of a scuffle. They look like they're up to no good, don't they? Pretending to be casual, but I know better. They were definitely up to something. Just an interesting aside. This is a bird, the dove, or the dove is always associated in Western cultures as a bird of peace, a symbol of peace and love, released at weddings, which I've always found quite a bizarre concept, but nevertheless something that is released into the sky when people get married. Out here, local customs, the dove is a symbol of war or conflict, complete opposite, because they are capable of having such savage fights between two males. Instead, here the bird of peace is the lilac-breasted roller, another bird that we very commonly see. Just a random piece of information. It's also a bird, the lilac-breasted roller is probably the most attractive birds, or one of the most attractive birds out here, with the worst call, the most unmelodious, jarring, screeching call. We spoke yesterday about our favorite bird calls, and I asked the viewers what their favorite bird calls were. I think we failed to touch on the other side of that coin, our worst bird calls. Like this one's quite a jarring call. Okay, top 5 worst bird calls. Vultures have got to go up to the top. Crowned lapwings, quite high up, like the one that we're looking at the moment. Lilac-breasted rollers. Hardy-daws is quite a good one.
Can that be number 1?
You want to make hardy-daws number 1, Viam? Okay. I don't know, though. Vultures is a pretty terrifying sound. Vultures sound like screeching dinosaurs. There's one more bird I want to show you, just while we're here. Not a bird with an offensive call, but a lovely bird, never mind. He's gone. Now, I think the reason... It was a hoopoo, by the way. Hello, I'm sure you have a nest here somewhere, but I promise I'm not coming to squish it. Oh, so cross. Now, this is a sound as a child. Oh, it's loud. I associated with being dive bombed and possibly with my head being picked. Sure. Now, we spoke about bird tracks. I'm going to shout over this lapwing's call. We spoke about identifying bird tracks, and I mentioned that with ground birds. It's okay, I promise. Oh, my word, okay. There we go. Why did you put it there? Why on earth? There you go, Vim. Definitely winning a competition that I wasn't willing to enter into with him. This is why we are getting into so much trouble. All right. Why did you put it in such a stupid place, you silly bird? Right next to a road. Okay. Shall we leave this poor parent lapwing to protect the eggs? I think I'm quite scared that it's going to come savage us. All right. Okay. We're going. I promise. Shame. Sorry. Whew. Let me just clear my eardrum quickly. Interesting, isn't it? Instant cut off that sound. It always astounds me how crowned lapwings build nests like that. Right out in the open. You saw how camouflaged those eggs are, so beautifully camouflaged. But just imagine an entire herd of elephants walking down that road and on either side. It's an interesting choice of nesting technique. Why not just put it, I don't know, like at the base of a bush somewhere? I'm sure that would be more sensible. Now that, if I'd got out now and I'd gone to potentially threaten their nest, which of course I was never going to do, but if I had, what that crowned lapwing would have done is, first of all, it would have screeched and dive bombed at me to try and send me on my way. If that hadn't worked, it would have played the broken, you know how ducks do? So pretending to have a broken wing, certain species of ducks anyway, pretending to have a broken wing. So running along with a wing out like this as a distraction technique to draw the predator's attention away from the nest and the birds away as far as possible before the birds miraculously recover and fly away. It's a clever little technique that they've got going on. And that, I think, would have been the next step after shouting at me like that. I'm positively deaf now. Sure. Shame. Very silly place to put their nest. Right on the side of the road. I will let people know, by the way. Hopefully the screeching of the crowned lapwings will alert people to the presence of it. Sure. Interesting. Now, what's interesting about the crowned lapwings and other ground nesting birds, crowned lapwings, blacksmith lapwings. Now, in most countries, insulating a nest would be the most important thing about nesting, using the body heat to incubate the eggs. Now, out here, the African sun does a perfectly good job of incubating the eggs all to themselves. On hot summer days, or even hot autumn days, today must have been at least over 6 degrees. To go to the chest cool. So a completely opposite approach to most birds in a more temperate climate as opposed to ours. Okay, I don't think this leopard has come out this way. Aha! Now, this is a wonderful news. It seems as though Brent has been tracking hard, and he has been for the last 2 days. Let's go and see the fruits of his labor, finally. The Queen of Djuma herself.
So guys, Jeandre and I have of course put our spotting competition on hold for the Queen of Djuma. And what a spectacular sight. She's up in a tree. We actually didn't find her ourselves. We were helping track her, but Taxon has found her. And she does have a kill with her as well. So that's excellent news. So if we go into that shadow underneath that big marula there, that big marula bough, sorry. Oh, she's popped her head over now. So if we go up slightly, you can just see the duiker in the shadow there. Looks like she's got a young duiker above her. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay, I think, oops, she nearly dropped it. Lucky there's no hyenas around. Started alarm calling at her. So this is the reason the tracks have been going to and fro. I must have walked so close to her about 3 times yesterday. But there's a possibility she might have been with the cubs, so not here. You know, she's eating the duiker's nose at the moment. Just trying to think where we can move. Unfortunately, at the moment, this is our best spot, so we're going to stick with it. So I know all of you are as happy as me to catch up with the Queen of Djuma in magnificent light. Good to see she's got a meal. Nice marula tree that she's in. And you can see how difficult it is to spot them from a distance. Now, in this particular area is where I was playing hide from the buffalo yesterday. Let's have a look. Should we have a look from over here, Jeandre? We're just going to have a quick look. So Julianne, who's watching on YouTube, is wondering, when will the cubs begin to eat meat? Normally at about 3 months or so, maybe even a little bit younger sometimes, but it shouldn't be too long now. Okay, hang on, let's just try and sneak through, see if we can get it. How's that, Jeandre? There we go. No branch in the way. So what this means is the cubs are still to the south of us, because we've had tracks to and from, to and from, to and from. This morning I must have had 3 different sets of her tracks crossing the southern boundary. But of course she's still utilizing this area to hunt. And hopefully she's going to bring those little ones back to Djuma soon. So I haven't seen whether it's a male or female duiker just yet that she's caught. Now, Karula really likes duiker and steenbok. Those are her sort of two preferred prey species. It looks like she's going to move us into an awkward spot for us again. Let's just try and go around a little bit more. How's that, Chandra? Will that do? Oh, isn't that beautiful? If you guys hear that clickety-click, sorry, that's just me. Such a beautiful sight. I can't resist but click off a few shots. If you listen carefully, you can even hear her crunching. Oh, look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So Laura in Happy Valley is saying, Brent, you said you had 3 sets of her tracks to and from across the road this morning, but she's wondering, how do you track an animal through the bush and on the grass? With great difficulty, Laura. That's probably why I didn't find her. So at the moment, the ground's very hard. It is quite difficult to see the tracks, and fortunately, we have found her, but oh, I'm a bit frustrated. I should have found her yesterday. I was just looking a little bit too far to the east. I was probably about 100 meters away, checking all the big marula trees in the block on the other side of Weaver's Nest. Oh, look at that. She's about to move it, and it is a male duiker. It's amazing the balance a leopard has. Incredible climber. So she'll come here, she'll feed on this duiker kill before returning to feed on the cubs. So she's generally going to be hunting in an area quite close to where her den site is. At the moment, we're pretty confident that her den site is on the other side of the main access road, Gowrie Main, so within a property called Little Gowrie. But hopefully she will be moving that den site soon. Oh, look at that. She's just moving that carcass to get a better view. Oh, sorry, not to get a better view, to get a better grip, a better place to feed. So Zinc on YouTube is asking, is she used to the people in the vehicles? She seems to look over but doesn't seem too perturbed at all. Well, Zinc, she's very used to vehicles. not so much people. I don't believe she sees the individual people in each of the vehicles. She does know the vehicles there, and she is being followed by them since she was a small cub. As long as you drive respectfully and carefully around, she's not going to react badly to the vehicles. Obviously, if you drive too close or you drive too fast, then she might react. But if we keep our distance and keep our respect, it's going to be just like this. She's going to carry on with her natural life as she would if we weren't here. So Len in Virginia is wondering, where does the name Karula come from? And if does it mean anything? Karula is the peaceful one. It is the Shangaan word for peaceful. And that's where the name comes from. Although she doesn't look completely peaceful eating the poor duiker. But if you're a duiker, she's definitely not a peaceful one. And Len's also asking about the other names of leopards. They have different meanings. Bless you, Jean-Andre. And, of course, lots of different meanings. Like Mvula means the rain. Tingana means the shy one. Tandi means the loved one. Very, very beautiful in this late afternoon light. Jean-Andre, should we try to get onto the other side of the light? Are you happy where we are? We're going to stay here. Jean-Andre thinks this is going to be the best view for us. So Gracie, who's 8 years old and a very firm, staunch SafariLIVE fan, is watching with her grandfather for the first time today. And her grandpa asked, is it going to fall out of the tree? To which Gracie replied, no, silly grandpa, she's very good at trees and she's the queen of this area. That's right, Gracie. Karula is particularly good in the trees. Like most leopards, they are designed to be able to climb incredibly well, and I don't think we're ever going to see Karula fall from a misstep. Maybe a stumble or two, but I don't think she's ever going to fall out of a tree. You can see that late afternoon light is getting better and better. So look at this, it is just wonderful. Sorry guys, I'm just a little bit distracted. One of the vehicles got stuck. The Taxon was just helping him move out. let's just try and get another view of her from the other side. There are a lot of vehicles who want to come see her, but we will come back a little later once the pandemonium has calmed down. I don't think anyone seems to have seen a leopard. It is also Easter weekend, so lots of people about. We'll just try and get another view from the other side. Oh dear, if my card is... Oh, there you go. So Aiden, who's in Canada, is wondering how much food does a leopard need to eat each day to survive. Well, Aiden, they don't normally eat every day, normally once every 2 or 3 days. And a meal like this little duiker will be plenty enough to keep her going for a couple of days. She'll probably have to, feed more regularly. I forgot about the aerial for a second there. While she's got cubs, just so she can keep producing milk. But so normally she'll probably be feeding every 2 to 3 days at the moment. Just wait for Andrew to finish moving. So guys, we try only keep one vehicle moving in a sighting at a time. So it looks like Andrew's trying to get out of here. So I'm just going to wait for him to stop moving. There we go. Okay, how's that for you, Jean-Dra? There we go. Sorry, guys, just going to be on the game drive for a second. Look at that. She's making short work of that little duiker. So we don't have too long, guys, before we have to move out, because there are quite a few vehicles standing by. And we are nice, so we do share, because that's how we do it out here.
I'm also making my way out of the Karula lock. You will stand by, but you will behind.
So Susan in Florida is wondering, is she turning her head to the side like that to use her carnassial teeth to shear the meat? Actually, she's using her premolars at the moment, Susan. She's using them to crush the soft nasal bones of the duiker. So she'll be feeding off the stuff that's in the nasal cavity. There we go, you can see. And she's using her premolars to actually break the bone off there. And she is chewing bits of bone, soft bone. She'll be able to eat quite easily. Oh, look at her, isn't she beautiful? So you see, even while she's feeding, she's very alert. So she is in the shadow at the moment of the tree. You can see the golden light behind her. So it pays to be very alert. So there could be hyenas coming in. So she'll always stop, listen, and look while she's feeding every now and then. You can actually hear the bones crunching. So there's an aeroplane flying over. So if you hear that noise, don't worry about it. So you can actually see the eye socket of the duiker there. Quite often, the eyes will be eaten quite one of the first things that will be eaten, and other than that, the very first things that will be eaten are the liver, lungs, kidneys, and heart. Of course, specifically the liver is quite sought after, high iron content, lots of nutrients if you're a leopard. So at the moment, she's probably going to chew right through and open the brain cavity. On the small antelope like this, she's going to be able to break open that. On bigger antelope, she wouldn't be able to. See how she's trying to get her molars and premolars in there now, right to the back, to be able to crush those soft bones in the face of the duiker. So quite often, all that will be left of a kill like this will be the skull cap. So that really thick top part of the skull where the horns are. Okay, Joannie would like to know, what will Karula do when she's finished with the carcass? She'll just let the little bits fall. If a hyena does happen to find this, it'll feed off those little bits of bone, but sometimes the carcass can stay in the tree. Look at that, turning her head right to the side. But mostly those bits of carcass, as she's finished with them, will fall. On a small antelope like this, she'll eat almost the whole leg, so all the bones she'll crush up to try and get to the marrow. It's only on bigger animals that she might struggle to do that. Sorry guys, I just need to listen to the Game Drive channel. Jan, how many other vehicles are still standing by after you? How many other standbys are after Johan? And that's it? Oh, Ephraim. Oh, from Jacobin. Okay. Oh, look at that. See, her head, her eyes are up, checking around, making sure nothing's about. So it's amazing. A hyena will be able to hear that crunching of the bone and will actually be attracted not only by the smell, but by that sound. So Doodles is wondering why she's eating the face when it looked like there was more meat on the body. Doodles, I didn't see much meat left on the body. There's just a little bit around the neck and on some of the legs. Now, she will be trying to get into that brain cavity, obviously very high in protein, so a very good meal if you're a female leopard. Some brains, and so it's not only zombies, but leopards and lions that like brains as well. So, hi, Cameron, who's eight years old. Cameron would like to know, do any of these animals ever choke when they eat bones? Well, they can do, Cameron, and quite often they'll then start coughing, and they cough up big hairballs of bones and fur, very smelly things, but they don't normally going to die from it. They're normally able to get it out by forcing it out. Peggy would like to know, by eating all those small bones, does that give her extra calcium? It does, Peggy, and you'll find a lot of the predators will eat the smaller bones, the bones that they are able to break up. Now, not all of the bone will be digested. Quite a lot of it will pass out in her feces, or she will vomit it out in a hairball as well. But generally, all the little bits that are broken up will provide extra calcium for her. So guys, we're going to wait for the other vehicles to come. We'll give them a chance, but we'll come back here later once there's not so many people waiting to get in. Station standing by for Karula coming. Copy. I'll make space for you. I'll come back a little bit later so everyone can get a chance to see her in the light.
Copy. Good day.
So guys, we're going to jump across to Jamie. We're going to try to come back to Karula if she doesn't move too much later. But we're going to give everyone else an opportunity to also view this spectacular animal. Oh, we'll wait until she repositions. There we go. So let's go see what Jamie's up to.
I'm so thrilled that we finally managed to get Karula on screen. Brent's been tracking for 2 days solid trying to find her, so I'm very chuffed he managed. Unfortunately, I can't report the same progress from my side. I've triple-checked Triple M, but I really have triple-checked Triple M to see if I can't figure out which way Vula's tracks went once they went south a little bit. I've checked all the junctions, all around. Missed where the tracks have gone off, just because there is so much traffic going up and down that road. What we'll do is we'll check along here and then add darker to where I had his last tracks and see if he does decide to do what Karula did in that block where I thought that he was going, or where I thought she was. And fingers crossed the same thing happens with a Vula and we get 2 leopards on screen for you this afternoon. As an interesting side note, just while I've been checking out the tracks for a Vula, I found the tracks of the one Birmingham boy that Brent had feeding on the buffalo carcass long after the other 4 had departed. He's moving back towards Cheetah Plains and Coral side to join the rest of his coalition. So even he's given up on the rotting buffalo. Unfortunately, I didn't stop with my calibers to measure his paw print. The reason I didn't do that is that they were quite degraded by the passage of vehicles. But if we spot some of the tracks moving along down here, we will most definitely stop and measure his paw prints and have a look and see exactly how large those paw prints are. I also want to see if I can't find Karula's tracks somewhere on this road. I'm just to the south of that sighting. And since we know we have a definite answer to which leopard made the tracks, and they've been crossing backwards and forwards here. In fact, that's a really good idea. Let's slow down a little bit. No problem, Raisa. We were discussing the measurements of Mbula's paw, and Raisa had suggested that she thought, and to be fair, Raisa, you did say you weren't entirely sure. Clear viewers line. Try. Through the information that see, I'm not tall enough. That Induna's footprints, she thought, were 11 centimeters at 2 years old, but apparently had a look at the track or at the photos of the tracks, and she's decided that, or she's realized that it was 9 centimeters instead. No problem, Raisa, really not a disaster at all. Makes a little bit more sense. I was picturing a leopard cub with giant sort of clown feet, but that's perfect. Okay, here's a lion track for us. Well spotted, VM. It's a difficult one because it's on a main road. This is the backtrack of a male, from what I can see. But it's a little bit faded. Nevertheless, let's just get an idea. So backtrack, we're comparing to Mbula's 10-odd centimeter backtracks. We'll just do a quick measurement since we're here, and that's been our project for this afternoon, since I haven't managed to track the leopard concerned yet. So backtrack of a male. It's actually easier to do in the sand. In sandy, coarse sand conditions, backtrack is, that's a little bit exaggerated, 14.1 from top of toe to back of back pad. And in this case, it's his left foot. The reason I know that, this toe here is the largest, and it's exactly like our hands. So it's his right track, with our middle finger is our largest. In this case,
You're breaking up.
Okay, thank you. Better not talk and bend down. So I'll do this way. When you're looking at a cat track, our middle finger is the largest, the middle toe in a cat track is the largest. So the exact equivalent. Don't count the thumb, because the thumb track is not visible in cat tracks. That's their dew claw. So there we go. So a size difference, that's the backtrack of, or the rough backtrack of this male lion. This is the backtrack of a leopard, a male leopard. So a difference of about 4-odd centimeters between the two. This is quite fun. I'm enjoying myself tremendously here. Next, shadow. Female leopard tracks. And you'll get to see the size difference. I have to find her tracks first, though. That, of course, is the other deal. VM, your calipers were a brilliant idea. I'm having a great time. I hope you guys are all documenting for us. Think of all the fun we can have. Next time we find tracks, we can figure out the individual responsible. So Karula, from what I can hear on the Game Drive channel, is tucked away somewhere in here. So her tracks must be on this road around here. We think, I think that due to the fact she's been moving up and down in this vicinity, there's a chance, north and south, there's a chance that her cubs are actually being denned to on the property to the south of us, which is what we knew originally, but we thought that she might have moved them further towards Djuma, so onto the northern side of this road. Now, in hindsight, I'm not 100% sure if that's the case, since she's been moving backwards and forwards from her kill. Oh, my goodness. Everybody hold your breath. There's going to be some dust here. While I let this vehicle come past on its way before the gate closes. Onwards. And whilst I let the dust settle a little bit, Raisa was wondering, where's Karula? Where am I? And etc. And maybe also I'll add as an extension to that, where are Mvula's tracks? We're on Gowrie Main, so the southern boundary of Djuma. Her kill, from what I can understand, is between Weaver's Nest and Twin Dams, or was it Treehouse? It's somewhere in this, actually, sorry, I think it's somewhere in this block. It's between Treehouse, Weaver's Nest, and Gowrie Main. So it's somewhere in directly to the left of me, right in the center of Djuma. I'm sorry, I still haven't managed to get my map programmed onto my new phone. Mvula's tracks were last seen going south down Triple M, so our western boundary. And I can't tell you if they went off to the east or to the west, so whether they came back onto Djuma towards or just south of the Balanites Junction, or if in fact he continued on west into Arathusa. My guess, and the reason that we're here now, is that I don't think he's going to want to go west. And the reason I don't think that is because there's always the potential of the Anderson Mail, and it's within Tingana's, it's that sort of grey area between Tingana and the Anderson Mail's territory. They're both bigger than him and they're both younger than him. I don't know that for certain though, because I never would have expected him to go into Simbabili either. And he did do that a couple of days ago. So Raisa, that is where we are, just to orientate you a little bit. Come on, Karula tracks. Oof. I know why my eyes are burning. It's the dust. Now that the rain is gone, the winds have been blowing. It's been blowing up lots and lots of dust into the atmosphere. It will be very interesting to observe Mvula's behavior over the next few weeks, see where he decides to head off to. He definitely seems to have got to the point where he pushed all the way. There's also quite an impressive man.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
So isn't that incredible that Karula has made an appearance? I'm feeling a little bit silly. I literally stopped walking about 50 meters from where she was. There were lots of buffalo around, but I'm never going to stop 50 meters short of where I want to ever again. Just keep on tracking. But I thought the tracks were a little bit older. So very interesting. It means her den is definitely still not on Djuma. It means she is keeping the cubs to the south of us. But the fact that she's hunting back here and those cubs are approaching 2 months, she's going to start moving them and even possibly moving them to kills. So very exciting times ahead. So what we're doing at the moment is we've stopped not too far from where Karula is, and we are waiting. We're just letting the other guys go through, cycle through the sighting. They generally don't seem to spend as much time as we do there. So we're going to do a little loop around the area, and then hopefully in about 10 or 15 minutes, we will be able to go back to Queen Karula. I just need to have, unfortunately, you're going to have to bear with a little bit of radio noise. I don't want to miss our call-in to go back there. So James Richard said that was an extra special, amazing sighting. There's something incredible about watching Karula feasting in a tree. She is the epitome of a leopard. She is a beautiful animal, James. And I know all of us love her and love watching her. And it's going to be splendid when she brings those cubs back. I'm really excited to spend some time with leopard cubs for a permanent, sort of prolonged bit of time again. It seems like ages since I spent time with little cubs, even though it wasn't that long ago. But it'll be great to actually share the cubs with all of you, wherever you might be, and bring a little bit of our home to your homes. So literally, we've had her tracks. Zip, 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 all in this area. This is where I went walking yesterday. Oh, one of those things. Next time, I'm sure luck will be on my side. And hopefully not too many buffaloes around the next time I have to go traipsing into the bush after Karula. Now, actually, what you guys couldn't see while we were in that sighting, there were probably 4 or 5 Duggar boys less than 50 meters from her.
Brent.
Standing by.
I've lost track of all the standbys again. Who's after Johan? I just want to give it over to them.
I think it is Ephraim is first standby, and then I'm back to second standby.
Okay, copy that. Ephraim, so you're making your way?
Sorry, guys, I'm actually going to be a little bit busy on the radio, but it is worthwhile having a bit of background noise till we get back to the Queen of Djuma.
Okay.
So it seems like the plan of not really looking for anything is the way forward when it comes to tracking animals. No, I'm only joking. I can't really do that. I always tell myself I'm going to go out and I'm just going to drive around. I'm not going to have a plan. I'm not going to focus on anything. But that never really works for me. As soon as I hear the word leopard track, I'm on it. Or lion track or wild dog track. I feel the need. I have to see if we can find them.
Yeah, I've left the site. That was some luck. With Johan there, Elvis is making his way.
So let's go have a look what's at Twin Dams before we send you back across to Jamie. Maybe there'll be a beastie there. We're nearly there. Definitely feel the evening's getting that little bit more chilly as we move in towards May. So I definitely think it's going to be slightly more pleasant in the evenings for the people who don't like the heat. I myself am petrified of the beginning of true winter. I really am not a big fan of the cold. You'll see me bundled up in as many layers of clothing as possible in not too long. Have we got any Duggar boys? Nope. But quite a beautiful setting. Now, while we're sitting here, Paula is wondering, why are Cape buffalo called Duggar boys? So Duggar is another word for cement, when you manually mix cement. Now, there's a couple of different theories about where the name Duggar boy comes in. The one I know is during the early days of the mines in South Africa, the gentlemen who used to mix the Duggar were known as Duggar boys, and they were particularly cantankerous. They used to like to drink a lot and fight a lot, and were quite famous for being incredibly tough, because you've got to be so incredibly strong to mix cement constantly all day by hand. So now these days we have those electric cement mixers, but those used to be done by hand, and those individuals used to be quite a tough bunch, and they were always caked in that mud. So I think the fact that a buffalo has got quite a tough reputation, and the fact they're always caked in mud and it looks like pieces of cement stuck to them, is where they got the name Duggar boys.
You want yours?
So not much here, so we're going to keep listening to our radio.
So the video said we must go Cheetah Cut Line. So
And keep listening to the radio. Look at that beautiful sky.
Okay, copy that. To the northern side of Cheetah Cut Line.
Look
100% yours.
at how beautiful those colors are. What a spectacular sunset safari thus far. You can hear some lovely birds around, but we're going to start slowly making our way back towards Karula. While we do that, let's go see what Jamie's up to.
And while Brent manages that and heads back towards Karula, Liam and myself have come all the way back across to the east. I was going to stop and show you the glorious sunset at a beautiful spot on Leadwood, but unfortunately somebody else got there first and is currently enjoying their drink stop, or their sundowner stop. Thank you, Liam. Much appreciated. It's a very strange feeling not being in control of your own headlights, but it is the way of things for now. I'm going to do a quick perusal of the eastern boundary before heading back to where I had the last tracks of Mbula, and just see if maybe, just maybe, he's going to pop out for us at the end of the sunset safari. One very skittish waterbuck. I don't know what his problem is. Unusually skittish. The waterbuck on this particular part of the reserve are usually quite relaxed. Is he? He's actually gone completely. Oh, there he is. He's hiding right at the back. On a mission. It's amazing how when there's been a waterbuck standing on a road, sorry, just listening to the game drive comms. I was going to say how amazing it is when you drive past an area that a waterbuck has been in, and how distinctly that smell of waterbuck hangs in the air. It's a damp, very musky scent to it. When we get across to the clearing at Mumba Road, where the buffer, or where Brent set up his time lapse yesterday afternoon, we'll go and we'll just have a look out across at the sunset. Not quite as spectacular as we've experienced over the last few days, but maybe we've just been spoiled. It's still beautiful enough in its own right. And this is definitely one of my favorite times of year in the bush, particularly in the evening. mentioned that Brent put up a time lapse over here just by the buffalo skull, and Kai was wondering how that time lapse turned out. The answer is beautifully. It really, really was a pretty setting that he chose. I love the artistic framing with the buffalo skull. Now that sort of artistic eye is something that I almost lack, or I totally lack. But Brent does not, and his time lapse turned out beautifully. Here we go. He set it up behind. I can see where he's placed the buffalo skull. And there's the view out over the evening bush. Not as dramatic as we have seen recently, but beautiful nevertheless. Right at the back, the silhouettes of the Drakensberg Mountains. The longest mountain range in South Africa. 1,000 kilometers, over 500 miles. It seems as though we've got lots and lots of new viewers on board with us over the last day or so. Kerry has just started watching yesterday and has said that she absolutely loves it. I'm thrilled to hear it. And I really hope that you were enjoying that leopard sighting with Brent. There's not much more spectacular to look at than a leopard in the sunset lying in a tree with a kill, especially the Queen of Djuma. Definitely doesn't really get better than that. I'm glad you got to enjoy that. Just trying to think if I can risk going down Mumba Road. We'll give it a go. Unfortunately, Wendy's been a little bit haphazard with signal recently. It seems as though there are certain areas I most definitely can go and certain areas I can't. The areas that I can go are very much separated by the areas I can't go. So it does restrict me a little bit in terms of movement. But let's see if Mumba Road works for us before we head back to wherever Mvula decides to pop out. Almost dark enough for the spotlight. There's that fraction of that little in-between time where it's a bit too dark to see with the naked eye, but at the same time, the spotlight, it's not quite dark enough for the spotlight. And all it ends up doing is illuminating the bushes on either side of you. But I think that we might be past that time. Now, it's a little bit too late for us to play this game today. But I've had a thought about what I have planned for tomorrow. That, of course, could go out of the window, sightings dependent. But I've decided to be very brave and to challenge Brent to a competition that spans throughout the drive, where you have to, at every sighting that you stop for, you have to specifically pick a fact or a story, say that this is your interesting fact or story. At the end, the viewers can judge which of us has come up with the most.
Perfect timing. We are back. And there's now... We're just going to try and get around so we can get a good view of Karula. She's still in the tree feeding. So fortunately, we didn't have to wait too long till we got back. got a hole there, John. There we go. Just trying to get a gap through the bush there. Oops. It's a big log I'm just trying to jump across. There we go. Happy? There we go. So there she is. It's still up in the tree. I don't think there's going to be much of this duiker carcass left. I think this might be her last night feeding upon it. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So Donna, who's in sunny California, would like to know, we often talk about how leopards and lions go for the most nutritious parts of the animals first, like the liver, lungs, heart. But how do they know? Donna, I'm pretty sure it's instinctive. They probably know and can sense that there's nutrients there. Sorry guys, just got to be on the game drive. I don't think there's anyone standing by at the moment. Sorry guys, one more second. Sorry, I think maybe Davina was first standby. So, oh look, she's moving.
In Buffalo Street, is there anyone ahead of me can go in? I'll call you guys when I'm a bit closer by.
Look at that. So very little of the carcass left. Crunch, crunch. Sorry guys, last time on the radio for now. I feel like there's 3 stations with a Karula, but you're more than welcome to take first standby. Best access is Weaver's Nest Junction with Treehouse Road.
Thanks very much. I'm still in Buffalo long haul. I'm going to slowly make my way down there. I'll call again when I'm and take a standby. So I won't be on the list.
Copy. Look, she's moving again. She's trying to find a spot to get comfortable and also make sure she doesn't drop that carcass. Oh, there we go. She nearly dropped it there. Isn't this amazing? You guys are joining us from all around the world, and you're looking at a female leopard feasting upon a duiker, live from the African bush. If we do have any new viewers out there, and you would like to ask me any questions about what's going on in the tree next to us, please feel free to do so. You can drop me an email on questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. So Glock on YouTube says this leopard could jump on someone. I know how I feel when people watch me eat, I don't know how she feels. Well, Glock, I don't think she sees the individual people in the vehicle. She sees the vehicle as a single entity, and a vehicle doesn't smell like something she'd want to eat. It smells of diesel or petrol, oil, and even people don't smell like they used to. It's what she instinctively knows people to smell like. We smell of deodorant and sun cream and shampoo and clothes washer. So I don't think she's going to jump onto anyone just yet. So a question from Michelle, who's just tuned in, and she would like to know what Karula is eating. Is it a grey duiker? Yes, it is a grey duiker, or a Grimm's bush duiker, a male grey duiker. Now, we did mention a little bit earlier, but Karula's two favourite food species are the grey duiker and the steenbok. Now, she is a small female, so a big adult impala would be quite difficult for her to hoist into a tree, so she tends to specialize on the duikers and steenboks. Not to say she won't grab an impala if the opportunity comes across, but she tends to hunt in areas where they've got lovely monkey orange thickets, and those areas have a lot of steenbok and duiker in them. It looks like a bit of the rib cage, or what's left of it. See, another reason why these small antelope are quite good for a small female leopard, she is able to crush up the bones without too much difficulty, so very little of this carcass will go to waste. So guys, if you hear that click, 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 I'm just getting a few snaps of her in the tree with that kill. And I encourage you guys to take screenshots, pop them on our Facebook page or on Twitter with the hashtag SafariLIVE or one of the numerous Juma junkies or other groups. We do love seeing you share all the pictures you're able to grab while out on safari with us. She's making very short work of this duiker. Jerry Mosser would like to know, have I ever seen a leopard pull a kill into a tree? It seems near impossible. Do they have any special adaptations that help them do that? Jerry, they have an incredible upper body strength, and they're able to lift probably not quite double, but nearly double their own body weight. And they're just incredibly strong and powerful animals. There we go. That looks like a rib. Oop. Whoops. Well, no hyenas there to pick up on it just yet. So it seems like California is all on safari this evening, and Amy, who's watching with her sister Ashley, this is Ashley's first time on the live safari, she said she's noticed that the animals, the leopards and lions, pant quite a bit and would like to know why. Well, It's because it's their way of dealing with heat, and the digestive process creates quite a lot of heat. So they pant to bring air over the blood vessels and veins in their mouth to cool down that blood and send it through to the rest of the body. It's their way of cooling down. So you can just hear that crunching of the rib cage. Now, the only bones she's not going to be able to eat on this carcass are going to probably be some of the larger vertebrae and, as I said, the skull cap. Now, the skull cap is this tiny little area where the horns are, and that's the thickest part of the bone. Cheers, F. Thanks and for. Isn't this just spectacular? Being able to sit here as darkness sets in, watching a female leopard, wild female leopard, in her natural habitat. Very, very special. So, guys, I'm just going to have to be on the radio for a little bit. So we're just going to go for a quick update to see what Jamie is up to.
We have returned to where Wula's tracks were last seen, and I'm going to check all around really carefully. Night has fallen, and of course that is when leopards and other such things are at their most active. At the moment, though, we've just got a wildebeest. Sorry, Wildy. Off you go into the darkness. Good luck. Lots of impala and general game around here, so he hasn't moved through here. Let's go back and check this block. Sandra, who's watching in Boston, welcome to the Sunset Safari. I hope you've been enjoying your time with us. You were wondering, on the subject of that wildebeest that we've just seen, whether wildebeest ever migrate, sorry Impala, in the same way that they do with the great migration of Eastern Africa. And Sandra, no, they don't in South Africa. There's a couple of reasons for that, although they will move. Not in the huge herds that we see, but they will move from place to place depending on the grazing opportunities and where there's been the most rain. For example, our wildebeest herd that we watched for ages, weeks on Djuma, has moved off and I think has gone north towards Buffelshoek. But that's not a great migration at all. They don't migrate in the same way that the wildebeest need to do in Eastern Africa, according to the rainfall patterns and the grass growth patterns. Oh, okay, let's go to Karula.
Sorry guys, I'm still just on the radio, but while I'm doing logistics, we're going to try to keep
Brent for Mike.
this great view. Standing by, Mike.
I'd like to take that standby. I'm now in quarantine.
Mike, I think if Tax isn't coming here, you can be third vehicle.
Thanks very much.
Oh, she is really, really tucking into what's left of that diker. So I think she might even leave some little scraps before the end of tonight's safari and maybe head back towards where her den is. So it's going to be really interesting once her cubs get a little bit bigger, just from a genetics point of view, because we're going to collect some of their feces and they will do a genetic test to see who the father is, because she's mated with Tingana, Mvula, the Anderson male, as well as the unknown or skittish male from the north. And those are the only ones we know about her mating with. She could have easily mated with another one or two, maybe one from the Manuleti, one from Malamala. So it'll be very interesting to see if who the cubs belong to, so to speak. Up until now, it's always been very much a guessing game, because female leopards do mate with so many males when they are in estrus. And of course, this is a really, really smart evolutionary tactic to ensure that all males that might come across those cubs assume that they are theirs. So if a male leopard that hasn't mated with her comes across the cubs, it will kill them, and that will immediately send her into estrus, so she'll start mating again. So very, very interesting, the different strategies that these animals have to ensure their genetic line is passed on. Okay guys, the other vehicle is moving, so we're going to move in a bit closer. Exciting times. We're now going to be in the best spot. Okay. Sorry guys, I'm just going to see which light Jean-Jay prefers. Do you want that one, Jean-Jay? Or that one?
A bit of spot mix.
A mixture? Like that?
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect lighting. So, Mason is a new viewer. This is only his second safari. Nathan. And this is only his second safari. And Nathan would like to know, at what point do we ever intervene? Well, Nathan, generally we don't. It is nature, so we generally try to let nature take its course. The only time we will intervene if an animal is directly injured by a human, by a car or by a snake. And the other thing is only with endangered species, so wild dog and cheetah. But again, generally then only if there's been human intervention. Often we just let nature take its course. A lot of people think that's quite harsh, but this is nature. And who are we to interfere? And a very lovely way to describe this, Nathan, is, oh, is she going to drop it? Don't, it's hanging on by a sinew. Don't drop it. Oh, I think she might try pull the whole carcass higher if she can't get to that. Oh, oh. That's a nice big bit. Don't fall down. No. Sorry, Nathan, back to your question. Is that we live in Eden, and for some reason human beings try to become gardeners in Eden. So we take a perfect system and we try to change it to suit our needs, not its needs. So that's why a hands-off approach when in wildlife is often much better. There we go, she's going to try to pull the whole carcass up. There we go, she's got back to the juicy bits. Oh, listen to that, she's crunching that upper thigh, breaking open the bone to get to the marrow. So Dr. Debbie is curious, does Karula need to eat more than usual to feed her cubs? Dr. Debbie, I'll be with you in a second. I just need to... My best visual is almost directly behind my vehicle. So there should be tracks going in front of me and coming around behind me. It'll be the best visual. So, Dr. Debbie, she probably does need to kill a little bit more regularly than she would if she didn't have cubs. Of course, she has to produce milk, and that obviously needs a lot more meat. But I wouldn't say that much more than usual. She probably, instead of having to eat once every 3 or 4 days, she's probably now hunting a little bit more regularly, probably once every 2 days. And we all know what a successful hunter she is. So I don't think she's changed too much. She's got into that top part of that bone now. Look at that. She's getting a bit of the muscles, but she will definitely crack open. She's already cracked open the top part of that bone to get into the marrow. And we'll use her, see her use her molars and premolars quite extensively as she gets towards the so-called dregs of this carcass. So there's not much sort of muscle meat left. But I know a lot of our regular viewers have seen Karula doesn't like to waste, and she will literally eat this little duiker down to its hooves, and in some cases will even swallow its hooves. We've seen her do that a few times, and even though she can't digest the hooves, they'll just be passed out in her feces. Astralina says she's mesmerized every time those claws pop out when she needs to grip on and hold the leg. And there we can see very nicely how a leopard's claws are retractable. So only coming out when she needs them. There we go. You can just see them now. A little bit in the dark. Oh, there we go. Listen to that. See how she turns her head to the side? Using her molars and premolars to crush that bone. as I was saying, I don't think there's going to be much left. I think she's probably going to head off back to wherever she's stashed the cubs this evening. Making short work of that leg. So we're just going to keep nice and quiet for about 30 seconds so you can just listen to that crunching sound. So the main reason she's crunching through that bone is to get to the very protein-rich bone marrow in the center of that bone. Oh, look at that. Well, Christine says Karula eating this duiker reminds her of a Texas barbecue. Splendid, messy, delicious feast. Well, Christine, sounds like I need to go to a Texas barbecue next time I'm in the United States. I do like my meat rare, but not quite as rare as Karula. Licking her chops. So, Joyce in New Hampshire would like to know, why are Karula's teeth so yellow? Surely they should be much more white with all the bones she eats. And Joyce also thinks that lions' teeth are whiter than Karula's. Joyce, probably not. And eating the calcium is not necessarily going to make the teeth white. And they are pretty in very good condition for a female of her age. And you can see she doesn't have any broken canines. Oh, looks like she's heard something. No. Back to munching, just making sure there's no hyenas around. There we go. She's going to move what's left of the carcass. Oh, maybe she's looking at that piece she dropped just now. looks like she's going to come down the tree right in front of us. So she did drop quite a substantial piece a little bit earlier. Actually, there's a couple of pieces. She's quite lucky there's no hyenas around. Look at that, she's right next to us. So I think she's gonna move off now. She might head towards Treehouse for a drink, but I doubt it with the amount of water that's around at the moment. I think she's more than likely gonna head back to wherever she is keeping the cubs. Wasn't that incredible? Let's go see if we can keep up with her for a little bit. I just want to get a general direction on where she's heading, but I think she might lie down first and have a little preening session. So Richard in the United Kingdom would like to know, do the lions and leopards have a set taste? Do they prefer certain animals to others in terms of feeding? Yes and no, Richard. I mean, all these predators are opportunists, and they will leap upon anything that happens to present itself. But also, with her being quite a small leopard, she tends to focus more on the smaller antelope species, such as Stenbok and Duiker. And young Inyala, female bushbuck, is sort of about the biggest she goes for regularly. We have seen her with baby kudu, so generally anything that's within their grasp. In this area, lions seem to show a particular preference for buffalo. And we do have a lot of buffalo around here. So they do tend to show some form of preference for them. Now, you see she's finished feeding. She's having a good clean. Leopards are very fastidious cleaners, even though they clean themselves all the time. You wouldn't really want to touch them too much. They're full of all sorts of nasty creatures, mites and ticks and fleas and flukes and tapeworms and all sorts of other stuff. Here you can see the tip of her tail quite nicely there. Sweet. Well, let's try and get on the other side so we can have a look at her face one last time before the end of the sunset safari. So Keith in Long Island is wondering which of the cat species has the most successful hunt ratio, so amount of time, amount of hunts, amount of successes. Is it leopard or lion? Well, actually, it's cheetah have a better success rate than both leopard and lion. Leopard and lion are on average for the Greater Kruger National Park between 11 and 14%. And let's go. How's that for you, Jeandre? There we go. So, Peter, cheetah have a better success rate than both leopard and lion. So, of the big cats that we can possibly see within our area, cheetah have the highest hunting success rate. Isn't this wonderful? Just sitting quietly in the dark. So I'm not going to ruin this moment by jabbering on. So let's just have a moment of silence with the leopard. So a huge SafariLIVE welcome to David, who's a new viewer watching for the first time with his 18-month-old daughter, who is completely mesmerized by the cat on the screen. Now, David would like to know how old this particular leopard is. She's about 13, David. So getting on a bit in leopard years. But still in magnificent condition, and she does still have 2 young cubs at the moment who are in a den somewhere to the south of us. Well, there we go. The evening constitutional. We just got to make sure we don't drive over that. Otherwise, we will have a very smelly car on the way home. Now, quite a long time ago, I accidentally drove over some male lion dung and then went up to a buffalo. And every buffalo I drove near ran away very quickly. Look at that. She's right next to the vehicle. She's going to move off back towards where the den is. I'm not going to follow any further. We've had such a fantastic sighting with her this evening. She's probably just going past Jeandre there. Let's have a look. There she goes. Behind Jeandre, heading directly south. So we're pretty sure her den site is to the south of Gowrie, Main. But as Karula shows you her bottom, we bid her adieu. And hopefully she decides to move back tomorrow morning. So from myself and Jeandre, here on the Rust Bucket. Have a wonderful rest of your Easter weekend, and don't forget to join us bright and shiny tomorrow morning for the sunrise safari. And let's go. There she disappears. Very special way to end Saturday. I know a lot of you call Saturday Cataday. So there we go, a cat at the end of Saturday. Bon voyage, Karula, and she's off to her little ones. And we are going to be off to try and find ourselves a meal just now. We're just sorry, the light's been off because I have been peppered with every insect that is in the low felt. There we go, here I am, out of the dark. But wasn't that fantastic? I can see Jeandre has got a huge smile on his face. I've got a huge smile on my face. It is always wonderful to spend some time with the Queen of Djuma. So, absolutely splendid. We're going to start trying to get our way out of this thicket and leave her be on her way off to feed her babies. So fingers crossed she moves those cubs back in the next little while. I thought I heard a hyena coming, but I think that hyena is quite far away. So don't forget, pop your screenshots on using the hashtag SafariLIVE wherever you can, on Twitter, Instagram, what's the other thing? Facebook. So, oh, quickly to Jamie with the serval.
You're not going to believe this, but I think I've found the serval again. Or I've found a pair of steenboks. That might also be the case. No, that ears look wrong. No, that's a deka. That's also slightly embarrassing. Is it a steenbok or a deka? Oh, well, I got a little bit overexcited there. It's in exactly the same place as I saw the serval, and it's just one very confused-looking steenbok. Oh, well, such is life. It's been a quiet afternoon otherwise on my side, but nevertheless, it sounds like you had the most extraordinary time with the Queen of Djuma. I'm just taking my headlights off the poor deka as quickly as possible. We've come now to the end of another spectacular evening out in the African bush. The weather's nice and temperate, and everything's looking extraordinarily beautiful and clear. It was worth a good try. Nevertheless, we're going to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you, Viam. And thank you to Lou and Jerry. Good news is, once we are done, the Djuma Dam camera seems to be the right way up this time around. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Cheers.